inside Thursday night. How's it going? Alright, strip back, good crack, multi-trade podcast. Share the knowledge you know, help to make our sector grow. Everybody's learning from experts and the journeyman. Insights.
Right, we're back. Season 7, Episode 9. I'm Stephen Buckley.
I'm Keith Delahan.
And this is Insight, the stripped back podcast, sponsored by Robust Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company.
And also in association with Snickers Workwear Ireland and Velocity Pro Gear.
Yeah, later on this episode, we've got a very special guest. We've got Fergus Farrell joining us in the studio. He is an ambassador for the Lighthouse Charity, and he's someone who has defied all odds after a workplace accident back in 2018, which changed his life forever.
Yeah, no, it's something that I'm really looking forward to. Just the journey, and I suppose everything that happened in between, and I suppose his view on why it might have happened and what led up to it. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, but before that, we've got the age-old overload segment to get through,
where we jump into everything electrical, trades related. And on this week, we're going to talk a little bit about the customers.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's jump into it.
This podcast is coming to you from the Robust headquarters in Dublin, Ireland.
Robust are the world's leading LED lighting company.
So make sure you head over and download the My Robust app and see what they have on offer. Right, we're back. Overload segment. And like you said, we're going to talk about customers and I guess the little things that somebody who's not in the trades looking in maybe from the outside, or people even in the trades who I see day to day things that are talked about that might, when you look back at them, laugh about them, but while they're happening might not be that funny,
Yeah, it depends on what kind of day you get them on. So there's the usual sayings that a customer will say to you, but it'll either make you cry or it'll make you laugh, depending on what humour you're in. And maybe if it's a Friday, it'll make you cry. So
got a few of them up there on the phone. And you were looking, a few of our followers sent us in a couple of them on Instagram and DMs and stuff.
Yeah, so the first one was, customer walks up to you. I don't know if you ever had this yourself, but they say it'll only take 5 minutes, won't it?
It's actually one, like I probably come across a lot through the large sites that I look after as well, because you might get a customer within a certain section of an office who's dying to get maybe an extra socket put in because they need it for an extra laptop or an extra screen or something that's going in, and they've logged the job through the company that they work for. It's finally being quoted for and approved.
Yeah. Eventually
comes into me and they think it's something that is just going to take, 5 minutes. But then when you actually talk them through, where the cable has to be ran from, containment that's needed, actually having to get them maybe to step away from their desk for a while, come back in, they're giving you this look of shock, that, you can't just pick up a base plate off a socket and actually just glue it to the wall and get it to work,
Yeah. When they ask for the Wi-Fi socket and wonder why they need a cable around to it. Yeah, and then there's the other ones that that you've told me about before. So they're actually the jobs in reverse, where they actually do think it's going to take a long time and it doesn't take long at all. Yeah. So you've told me a number of times about P1s, I think you call them, priority ones, where you have to literally drop what you're doing, and it's like all hands to the pump. You have to go straight to the job, and then you might have a customer that just might have a few spur off that's controlling the socket, and they think it's like a power outage,
Yeah, it's even simple ones where, a light switch is being turned on. People are so used to these PIRs now, or, even sensors built into fittings, like where fittings are coming on and on themselves, but they don't realise that there's a master control switch on the wall that still turns them on and off, So I've often got P1s where I've dropped, project jobs and got everything packed up into the van, You know yourself when you're driving in through Dublin City, like what might look like 20 minutes on Google Maps, like turns into an hour and a half, you know, sometimes. And you get there and you can see the switch off. And, you know, from a business perspective, you're thinking, right, I've left a job here.
Yeah.
We're on call. We've come out. And, you know, you still need to get paid for that type of work. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, if I see a light switch off, you're going to turn it back on and you're going to get it back working for people. But between myself and yourself, like, and as we've referred to before, you know, I can't not then charge for that time,
to the
you know
job.
what I mean?
Yeah. Like you are dropping another customer to prioritize them, and it's probably in their contract. Like if they want a priority one,
yeah. Well, there's a minimum, like
and be really looked after. It comes at a price, and look, some people that might be a priority for them. If it is controlling something, they just don't have the know-how, or they can't read the label. It's not really you or your company's problem.
Well, some clients are embarrassed by it then as well, you know what I mean? Because they realise then as well that it could be just a member of staff who's logged it, you know, and they realise then that they actually didn't really need you out there.
Yeah,
so I've often had, like, you know, a couple of staff members say, like, could you just
say that there was
some problem,
breaker
please?
gone or something?
Yeah, please just say there's something wrong with that place. You know? Sometimes after
no, they're gas. No, but like in general, that phrase, you know, you have a look at that. It'll only take a minute.
Yeah,
it's quite annoying when you think you're done a job. You know, generally lands a bit better when you're at the start of the job.
Yeah, but
and you have time to quote it. You know what I mean?
That can also come from your boss. You know,
this is it. Yeah,
that can also come
exactly.
from you to your lads. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Just take a look at that, and then it turns into a big job. Yeah. Then the next one that we got in is a personal favorite. I find it quite funny when you've left the job, you know, and you think back on it. Like, so we've got called out to a couple of like power outages, you know, where the main fuse goes at night.
Yeah.
Now maybe jumped in the shower, cooker's on, like perfect scenario where everything's on the same time and the main fuse goes.
The whole lot, like.
Yeah, the main fuse goes, and then you go out and, you know, John or whoever will say to you, like, or I'll hold the flashlight for you while you're having a look, you know, in the pitch dark. But John doesn't realise as he's moving and he's looking down the hall to Mary like that, he's moving the flashlight, and you're in complete darkness and you're trying to get maybe have a look at live terminals to see if there's power even coming into the house. But
or that's your client, like.
Yeah, keep it straight. Like you're probably there at an ungodly hour anyway, so you're already on edge, you know.
Yeah, that's another one. Like, you probably think about, like, you know, working with your dad when you're younger and stuff like that. Like, and your dad's asking you to hold something, or
you've done it yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that's the evolution of having, you know, these head torches now and everything as well, ready to go for yourself. Like, I've a non-fancy little head strap. I think it takes 3 AA batteries in it, and it does the job for me.
Does the job, yeah. Look, there's the flip side of it. I think I've bought maybe 3 of the, you know, the LED vents or whatever they're called, the fancy head torches, magnetic. Yeah, you can focus them in and pull them out, and I've 3 of them there and don't have a charger. You know,
that's the thing, isn't it?
That's the thing.
Batteries are golden.
Batteries are golden. Yeah. So that was a quite funny one that came in. So
yeah, another one there. Through actually one through one of your lads. Actually, I don't know if it's something that happens a lot. Like, but
it is. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Do you really need to turn off the power? That's a good one. Actually, that works through the whole industry then, doesn't it, as well? Like, because it's you know, in my end of it, it comes to like RAMs and safety statements and all that. So that's all worked out well in advance. Like,
everyone knows. Yeah,
everyone knows. Like, you know what I mean? With the likes of yourself, like, you're coming out to domestic jobs where people just don't understand the ins and outs, especially with people working from home now as well. Like, you know what I mean? They're there while they're doing it.
100%. Like we're doing a rewire at the moment, and we're rewiring a 3-bed house, and the customer asked, like, is there going to be any mess? Like, you know what I mean? Like, can we stay here while you're working away? Like, and like our stance on it is like, no, like you need to get out for like maybe a week, like, because that it'll drive the price. Like the prices, they're pricing around anyway, so they're looking for a cheaper price. So if you need to tell them, well, look, we're going to lift your floorboards and put them back down every night, obviously that's time. That's going to take. It's going to cost money to do that. Like, and then if we to do a full sweep up every single night, you know, you're going to add maybe 2 days onto the job or a day onto the job.
Does it annoy you more when you turn up to a rewire or even any type of install work in somebody's house, like who know
you're
the
coming,
work's being done and the room is still full of furniture?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so that this job is the same. Yeah, it's like you don't mind covering up all the bed. Like like we literally arrived there Monday morning and they were still in bed. Like so, they got up out of bed and just walked out of the house for a week. Like, you know, like literally their cups of teas and all were still beside their on their bedsides and lockers and stuff.
Usually
you know,
pointing through 2 lockers, a bike, a bed, a wardrobe, and saying they want a socket there.
Yeah, and then they text you, so it's we're like projecting maybe a week and a half. We might get it done for them, and like so we start on the Monday and they're texting on Thursday. It's like, is it all right to move in Saturday? And it's like no,
then you
just
get
now.
That text then saying that there's a spot of dust then on the bedside locker.
Yeah,
not paying you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One of your lads robbing me point glass and all this kind of stuff. Like you get the odd one, yeah. But no, it's hilarious and just look, we just put it down to people not knowing what's involved in it. Yeah. The other thing about that one is as well, they have a kitchen in full, like an old kitchen, old tiles, and they're asking like, do we need to like take the tiles down? And you're like, yeah, you're unless you want surface trunking across your tiles, like of course you have to take it down. So look, you just put it down to you know, them not knowing what needs to be done. But it's funny. So it's always funny when they say it, you know.
It's people are quite ignorant to, you know, the ins and outs of the ongoings of how a house is put together, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I suppose like if you're to get ahead of it, like the rewire especially, look, they should know. You feel like you shouldn't have to tell them they're going to be like limited amount of power. But the ones where, you know, they're getting a job done like solar and then you have to do maybe an hour of kind of like connecting into the board and you need to turn off power and they're telling you that they're working from home, like, you know, and you can't lose the Wi-Fi and stuff. That's where these new battery storage units, you know, the portable power banks come in. So that's something I have to invest in. It'll save that question, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's obviously the future, but a long way away for the majority of the country, I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't see themselves I know we spoke about it before, like obviously the need for, you know, backup generators and, you know, battery banks and alternative power supplies in houses and stuff. And I think it's something that people definitely need to be more educated. Well, maybe not educated on, but at least future, made aware of, you know?
Definitely. Just like the last storm we had, like everyone panicked, like nearly wiped out half the country, like of power. So a lot of people made a lot of money through generators and the solar guys with their battery backups and stuff like that. But you know, the little miniature Anchor portable power banks.
Yeah.
That's the next on my hit list to get. So it saves that quite. At least you can plug the modem in. Do you know what I mean? Get them a bit of internet.
But like I've, you know, been on jobs. I'm sure you've been on jobs like where, you know, you're working in somebody's house and they're asking for the extra socket as well. And you're doing even rewires, and it's just like, you know, actually even just recently I've just had it today on a job. It's boiler here, you know.
Yeah.
Another one. It's, can you take a look at this? Never seems to be just a look, is it?
They do, yeah.
It's like they've got the product that they want installed ready to go for you there. It's ordered, it's off Amazon, it's ready to be installed on the wall or whatever, you know.
Again, but it depends on who asks you. Like we get situations where it might be like a big enough contract that we're doing a good few houses for, and when they say, "Well, you're here," you feel kind of obliged to do it. It's not. It doesn't really land the same as, you know, maybe you're doing a one-off job and then they ask. Like sometimes you actually don't mind being asked while you're here because it's a chance to make an extra few quid on maybe a small job. But if it's a if it's a big job and you're kind of getting the feeling that the customer is looking for a freebie, then that's a different story, you know.
See,
Depending on
for
the
me,
situation.
it's different. Like, because in the maintenance game, like, I could get asked about anything. I mean, once the maintenance van comes up, it's maintenance. You know what I mean? So
you're
the bread
into
and butter is electrical, but it's like boil your hair, like the
sink.
toilet, stop cock or whatever it is, like it's gone. Like, do you mind replacing it
or John's after having an Indian for lunch and
yeah,
and he's after
blowing the seal off it. You got a spare seal in the van or something.
But yeah, no, look, it's gas. Just the things that customers come out with. I'm trying to think of things off the top of my head. Like, it's right, the Wi-Fi socket thing is brilliant, and believe it or not, I think we said this before, wasn't even a customer. It was an old employer of mine when the new wireless switches came out. You know, for power in the gardens. He was like, we not need power out in the garden now for these lights. Like, so the lights are just gonna work without power. So that was a good one, yeah.
Look, it's one of those where eventually he probably won't be wrong, you know. It'll probably work without power.
Probably will. Everything will be solar, but
I'm a bit excited now myself. Actually, I'm getting a new van now this week.
What are you going for?
I've got the Ford Transit Custom. It's a 211. So like every 4 years, because it's true lease plan with our crowd, you have to rotate the vans out and get the new ones in. So get a brand new 252 Transit Custom. So I'm going to be doing the transfer tomorrow. All the tools coming out of the old van.
Yeah, a few hours out of that, I'd say, will you? Pay it to do that, yeah.
I have to. I mean, it's all part of the job.
The labour.
But
I'll be looking forward to seeing what that van is like. We've had a couple of people in here through the podcast that have rocked up in the customs, and they look the business.
Bit of a review on it next week, maybe.
I don't know what you think. I'm not mad about the small Ford Couriers, I think they call them. They look like Postman Pat vans, don't they?
I think that's what they're designed for. It literally is a courier van. It's like, pick up, drop off boxes, nice little square. You wouldn't be boxing it out like and putting any type of racking in or anything, like, you know what I mean? It's
fit for purpose.
It does what it says on the tin type of thing, isn't it?
Doesn't look very aerodynamic though, does it?
No. What are your lads driving?
We've got two Ford Transit Connects, so the smaller ones. We have a Peugeot Expert, medium wheelbase, and Peugeot Partner. That's what we're using. Yeah,
I remember
cheap
when
and
I was
cheerful.
driving, I obviously had the personal car going around when I was starting off as an apprentice. It was like a Punta or
Same
something.
here, yeah. Same here.
But now, like, you're seeing lads now, like, investing even early enough now, or wanting to invest early enough, like, into their late teens, at least, like, trying to get the vans. Like, but is there something about it? I see a lot of people complaining online about not being able to get insurance on the vans. Like, is it 21, is it? Or?
It's tough enough. Like, my lads are fairly expensive because some of them are under 24. I think 24 is the magic number, I think. But that obviously depends on who you're with, like, but they'd be generally in around the same, like. But look, it's expensive, but it's a price you pay for, getting the lads on the road, like, and if you have good lads, they'll make it back for you. But yeah, look, like that, it's the benefit of having the vans. I can't say. I think we had a chat about whether would be, obviously for your company, it's better to lease. I think it's nice to actually own them, but I know they depreciate and stuff like that. But it's nice that when you have them paid off, that there's not another bill coming in as well.
True, yeah.
If you just look after them, like, so we get ours regular servicing and stuff like that, like, whatever we have to do.
Of course, isn't it? And the size of the companies and stuff. And I think with the likes of us, it's something that you need with the mileage that we're doing as well. Like, it's probably be a lot more than mileage you're doing. Like, not that you do travel, but like a lot of our lads could be
they'll
Galway and back and
once you're out of the county,
you're up and down every day, like, you know what I mean? So it's you don't see the mileage rack up on them, and then they don't become sort of fit for purpose anymore.
Here's a question for you. Been dabbling with the idea. At what point do you say, like, if you were in my shoes, at what point would you change to maybe a Jeep? or would that be even something that you'd be thinking of? Now, I'm not talking
I
big.
would have, if it was me now, I'd be getting it straight away because I just love the idea of having a raptor or something.
I'm not even talking about a raptor,
A ranger.
Not even a ranger, not a like flat bed pickup. I'm thinking like more like maybe a Discovery or something. Like a
nice,
big black
yeah.
Jeep. Then I'm trying to justify why would I need it? Like, when I have a
Commercial
van.
or
Commercial, yeah, no seats in the back, like, and maybe the option of a cheeky seat in the back.
Just for show, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, just think is you're kind of looking at other lads driving around.
Yeah.
It's not a jealousy thing, or it's not a I want that type of thing. I
I
can't get my head around why I'd need one.
See, the reason why you're looking at that is because you're seeing the end game in, you'd like to rock up to a job, like especially the jobs where, you're not expected to be getting muck in.
Yeah.
You're coming in to assess, like, you know what I mean, and have a look around, and you could be dropping stuff
and
off
the comfort end of it, like,
it can be a home office.
Yeah,
on the road, like, you know what I mean.
And the only reason I'm saying is because we're looking to take someone else on, or potentially give one of the other the lads that is working for us, give him my van. So I might have to get another van, or like a caravan or a Jeep or whatever. Or do you go big? Like, we don't have a massive van, we don't have a big van. You know what I mean?
And who was it? Like, they used to say, used to be a guy actually that I used to work with in Intel, and he was an American fella, and he used to say to us about our clothes, the clothes that we were wearing. It was all about that's what he was wearing, like, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Like, he used to come in, and even though he was working on these machines and all that, he'd have the shirt on, and not a pair of slacks, like, but a nice pair of pants,
trousers, yeah.
And I'm dressing for the job that I want, like. So it might work on the same concept of what you're thinking with your vehicle. You know what I mean? It's like you're looking ahead of, like, who you want to be as a company. Like, if you're rocking up, like I said, to any type of job, even where you're doing just quotes and stuff like that, and you're coming up in a nice vehicle, even though it still looks like a commercial vehicle, you could have like your bits and bobs in the back of it, but you're getting out of it, and it looks like that.
Looks the part,
like, and the business is progressing in a way that, you can afford that.
But then you have the other side of it, like if you're doing, what would you call it, budget jobs, or like small jobs, and you're doing a call out and you're turning up in a big Jeep. Do you think scares away a certain customer, or are they the customers you don't want? Or
no. I
don't
think you can say this the customers you don't want either, because at the end of the day, I think you always need to leave yourself open for something. But
no, I'm not saying in terms of I don't want them, but do you think there might be a customer that would, if they're thinking that way, if you turn up in a Jeep, like, say, if it's a new enough Jeep and it's clean and stuff, and they see you getting out, do you think, like, right, I'm going to be taken for a ride here? I suppose if you don't do that, you're all right, you're covered. But
I think, like, a lot of people can also think, like, well, this lad's doing well for himself, like, so he's busy.
Yeah.
He's earned his money in order to be able to afford that,
Yeah, that's the truth, Yeah, so that's a conundrum. That's for another day. And then the other thing is, I don't know whether I want to be just going around pricing stuff. I've been busy lately, on the really. I'm always on the tools, but lately I've been properly back on the tools, and I'm enjoying it. But then the admin side of it takes a bit of a hit, because you don't have the time, or you're not answering the phones as much.
No, you're the individual that just needs to be on
the tools,
or even just on a tool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it depends on what I'm going to be doing, I suppose.
But look, I guess you can put that question out to our followers and stuff on Instagram and
see what. Jeep or no Jeep?
Jeep or no Jeep is the good one, isn't it? But look, I guess we'll keep rocking on. We've got a very hard hitting and important message and chat to share now with Fergus Farrell, who is, like I said, an ambassador for the Lighthouse Charity. He has gone through traumatic and life-changing experience in his life, and he's joining us now in the studio to share his story.
Yeah, look, I can't wait to jump into it. He's an advocate for anything can be done, an advocate for don't be afraid to ask for help. And really looking for him to highlight those points. So let's jump into it.
This is Insight, the Stripped Back podcast, sponsored by Robus Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company.
And also brought to you in association with Snickers Workwear Ireland and Velocity Pro Gear.
You know, if you get to see your mate every couple of weeks, you're doing well.
You're doing well,
yeah.
No,
Especially for a man, anyway. Yeah.
100%, you're doing very well.
Life is busy.
Yeah.
But men we don't commit to seeing each other. And I think when we think it's fine as well, like we think it's a good thing like that. I'm sure it's grand. So we can just pick up where we left off a year later, like
exactly. Yeah, but that is probably one of the beauty things about being a man too. Though you
can do it,
but because you can do it, then you leave it until the last minute to do it. And
stuff gets overlooked.
I went I was up doing a Lighthouse event, and I went to the men's club in Celbridge. First time I ever went to one of them. And for the first few, they went for a walk around Castletown there, you know, it was lovely. And I just remember walking around, but I was hanging back with Andy Bishop, the guy from England who has one of those clubs in a beacon for the Lighthouse Charity over in England. And I was asked to join it there with this guy called Darren. Never met him before, but I was hanging back and just stick with that group. I was going, sure, I'm not going to learn anything by just hanging back and talking to the lads I know. Yeah. So I just went off and walked on my own and between everybody, and all the other lads were talking, you know. And next minute, this lad out of the blue came up and talked to me. Connor was his name. And, Jesus, he gave me his life story, and it was incredible. Honest to God, I was like blown away by how this lad came up and just talked to me, and I shared my, you know, and it was unbelievable. But after the event, Darren's dad, who was there, I think it was their brother had committed suicide, and that's how this group started up, you know. Yeah. And he was saying to them, "Do you know why we would go for walks?" I said, "I don't know." Well, how do men talk in a bar? I said, "No. Well, to be up in a bar and they talk shoulder to shoulder, you're right.
On top of each other,
yeah. We rarely talk face to face." He said, "That's the same thing now. We'll walk around here, and remember the man who came up and talked to you. He talked to you shoulder to shoulder."
Yeah.
That's I never dawned it before, but he's right. You know, anytime you're having a chat, you'll be nearly shoulder to shoulder watching a game of rugby, soccer, or something like that.
The eye contact or something, is it? Just the lack of eye contact suits a man.
You're more comfortable in that way. You know,
it's the truth, isn't it? Yeah, it really is.
Never dawned to me until that was done. But like again, I'm just saying, like, you know. So many learnings you can have out there, like, you know.
Yeah. But you're right, though, going to an event like that, like, you're nearly wasting your time by just talking to the same fellas,
Sure, that was it. Like, and I kind of said, deliberately just like, go out and walk on my own. I'm sure if somebody comes to be great, so he doesn't. No, so be it. And just this guy, and he was a drug addict, and he was homeless, and found his way, and he started coming to this group just to kind of
give a hand there.
To help him stay in the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
Your story is actually incredible, but just shows the power of
things like that. Yeah,
it shows it's great to be able to see the one side of that.
Yeah,
where, you know, excuse the pun, but that lighthouse is there for people to see, to actually go and share and use the soundboard, and then the other side, which is scary to think that, you know, if those options aren't available in certain areas, or people don't know about them, or are too maybe proud to go and speak up, that there's an element of isolation to it, like, and that these people can get lost between the cracks, you know.
Yeah, and like, you know, you were talking about your cousin who committed suicide. Yeah. Like, you know, you were saying he bought his own house recently enough, like. Yeah. But that could be an awful lonely experience
as well.
Going home to an empty house.
Yeah.
Day in, day out, and especially after the issues he had happening with his girlfriend down in South, you know.
That's true. I never even thought like that. It sounds like he was moving on and he was doing things with his life, but he might have been isolating himself even more.
Yeah.
And obviously he was. Yeah. Most people are alone when that happens anyway, like, or they go to be alone, like, you know. He probably did have it in the back of his head, just the few little bits that he done on the way, like, you know.
Yeah. But, you know, that would be one thing I'd suffer now. I'm not good at my own company, you know. But I've got used to it because I've had to. But I've two big heifers of dogs at home and I can't, you know what I mean? And they're great. Like, only for them I'd be lashing out. So then I have my kids every 5 days of every 14 and, you know, a few evenings, whatever I want them. So I'm lucky that way. But imagine if you're a man who will suffer from loneliness and actually move into your own house, or it doesn't have to be that. Like, how that would really sit in you. You know, but that's here and there. That's
I've seen
It's probably definitely an element to it anyway. 100%.
There's a statistic there, like even with death around men and death around women, like that. I think, you know, a woman can actually move on easier with her life after their husband dies.
All right.
Because they've got that closer friends group that they stay close to.
Yeah.
Where men, the older they get,
Just
reduce
further
their friends group gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And like what we spoke about just before there, it gets longer then in periods of time where they see each other. Yeah. So if something was to happen even in their life, like where, you know, later in life, if somebody's wife or girlfriend or anything pass and they're left alone, or with any circumstance left alone, they find themselves very hard to then step out and actually have somebody to turn to, you know, because it's and you slowly start to internally, I think,
you
crumble, you know.
Yeah, you close yourself off.
Yeah,
you know.
But it's podcasts like this, and it's the likes of the work that you're doing that we'll talk about now in the podcast as we go on. That even through the Lighthouse and everything, that is creating that platform and is creating that safe space for people. And I think it's a great thing that, you know, it can be done.
For me, like I'm looking at after that experience with the Celebrity Boys Club, that's what it's called. I'm seriously thinking about doing one down in Galway.
Yeah,
do you know? Because I just thought, Jesus, and like I'll be honest, I'll be straight. When I arrived there, I seen some of the guys who were at it. Like I judged.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, Jesus, these are not the guys I'd hang around with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they weren't sporty people. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'd be straight out. I judged. By the end of it, an hour later, my mindset had completely changed.
There you go.
Just because of that.
The West could be crying out for something like that as well. Like we've had, you know, Robin Grace on the podcast there recently, member of Garda Síochána, but he's, you know, advocating for technology to be used in the West, like for suicide prevention, like for geotechnology and stuff like that.
Geofencing around
hotspots in regards to suicide. But the likes of that, like I think it's a side of Ireland as well that can be quite forgotten about, especially with the likes of, you know, you see a lot of people leaving their towns and going off to Australia, and because they have the opportunity through the trades that they can. Like we always say, the trades opens up the world for people, but the people that don't have that get left behind, and they can be like a very lonely place, some of these towns, you know.
Oh yeah, Jesus, yeah. Especially the way some of them are these days. Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm lucky down that and right, the towns begin to pick up big time, but like
yeah, you drive through some towns in Ireland and you wonder how they do it. Like
yeah.
I think we're just in the podcast now, are we? Do we need to do an introduction?
We're going.
We're going.
This is it.
First time we've just let in straight off the bat. So.
Sorry.
Yeah, so welcome actually. Yeah, well,
thank you.
But you did mention there Attenroy, and obviously it's a good place to start from, I guess. Like, so obviously
song about that one, right?
Yeah, just a popular one, isn't it? Only gives us a few bars over there, did. But like we like to give our guests a bit of an opportunity to share their story, and by doing that, then obviously allows our listeners to learn a bit more about them. And I think bringing it back a bit and giving people an idea of where you grew up and what sort of life you had growing up in school and sports and stuff like that. If you can let our listeners know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So look, I had a lovely upbringing. Oh, look, it was tough, but I'm a farmer's son, horticulture. My dad grew turnips, potatoes, carrots, cabbage plants in the fields. We picked them, we harvested them. I built stone walls, saved hay in the summer, worked outdoors all the time. Absolutely loved it. It was hard, but I loved it. But the reason I loved it was very early in life, they didn't even realise they were doing this, but they instilled in me to understand that hard work equals reward, because ultimately my dad and my mother would give me a few pounds at the end of the day. At the end of the week, I go and buy my sweets or my bag of chips or whatever it may be. I could do whatever I want to do with it. So it was probably one of the best things that was ever instilled in me, is that I understand hard work gets you places. Now, I had a cousin who was a bit older than me who lived next door to me, and he thought I was a lazy one. So, but you know, that's another story. I fell in love with sport then at kind of the age of, 11, 12. And again, the reason I fell in love with it wasn't through actually wanted to play sport, but actually get away from putting up the stall on a Saturday morning with my dad.
Sorry, you can't do it.
yeah. So I ended up going playing rugby, and they used to get a bus out to Monavale Rugby Football Club on the Saturday mornings, and after the training session, they used to give you a bag of chips, a bag of Coke.
Lovely.
I was sold
Yeah.
like that, and then I ended up being, because I was a big young lad. I was decent at it. I had no skill sets, but I just could run through anything. So I was twice the size of anybody else, and I got addicted to that. And then I played a lot of soccer as well, and that was really my upbringing. I wasn't into school. Just wasn't into any of that type of stuff. I wasn't academic. It wasn't anything like that. But I always, worked hard. Well, worked anyways, and I liked the idea of getting up early and getting out. I would never stay in bed that much, So upbringing was lovely. I had a lot of different mates. I had my sporting mates, and then I had my school mates, and so it was really nice.
Was there any eye on when you left school? Was there anything that you were striving to do, or?
Well, so when I left school, I was lucky enough. So I'd made the Irish under-18 squad. So I was, I had intent I had ambitions to become a professional rugby player,
right?
And ultimately, I didn't get my kind of contract. But because I didn't get that, I had a coach, and he used to play over in South Africa, and he played with this club over there. And because I didn't get my contract, he rang up and said, "Hey, there's a guy here who hasn't got his contract, ideally suited to you." So in like about 2 weeks' time, I was in South Africa, just turned 19. Hadn't been the furthest I'd been before that was when I was in London for a Connacht under-17 tournament. So it was a big upspring. And then I ended up going back and forth for 3 years there. But then after that, I fell in love with too much with socialising, having the crack, whatever else. And I came back and played with Galwegians, which was a senior club in the school in the city at the time.
Yeah.
And they were the professional team more so than the Connacht team, because the provincial and the Pro 12 leagues and Celtic leagues were already getting up and running. So I enjoyed a few years with that, but I knew
what was South Africa like compared to the rest of Ireland?
Oh man, it was. I'd be straight with you. So South Africa, when I went there in '98, South Africa was here. Ireland was here. Swear to God.
In rugby terms, yeah.
In everything.
In everything,
life,
yeah.
Facilities, infrastructure, everything. The last time I was back there was in 2009. Complete role reversal. So it was.
South Africa were one of the top teams at that stage. Well, they probably were number one.
They were World Cup winners. And I remember playing a game with Gary Teichman, watch it on from the sideline. The captain of the South African rugby team in 1995.
Jeez.
So I was like, and at that time, Ireland rugby was in the doldrums. Like, we were wooden spoon year in, year out.
Yeah.
So there was I over there, and no, I wasn't play. I didn't get to play with the first team. I played more of the under-21s because the level over there was
ridiculous.
Yeah. Like every club had 4 or 5 senior teams. Like
right.
It was crazy level. But I was still playing a game, and Gary Teichman looking on, and I'm going, this is and the weather was spectacular. The gym facilities were spectacular. I'd never been in a gym before. Do you know?
Yeah.
It was just another world. It was class. It was genuinely probably one of my best experiences.
Was there any feel of any type of depression coming back after spending so long out there and probably getting that bit of sunshine? You get a lot of people coming back with the love of Ireland still in them, you know what I mean? Yeah. But then you can also come back and start missing what you've left.
Well, I'm a bit of a homebird. Because I did after, at the end of each season, I was really dying to get home. And when I got home, I always remember the very first time I got home, because over there, all the embankments and everything, they're all yellow grass and no growth or anything like that. Yeah. Even though in the tail is like known as the green area of South Africa, it's still nothing compared to. I always remember when we came home the very first year, and I was picked up in Dublin Airport, and at that stage there wasn't motorways going down all the way down to Galway. But I just remember the embankments I thought overgrown. And I was like,
vibrant.
Yeah, it's just, green everywhere. And that was my first time to realise, man, this is...
Everyone always says it, don't they? We had the weather. you wouldn't leave, like, you
not
know.
a chance.
But
No.
then you had the weather, then the place being bits.
So, yeah.
You
Yeah,
can't
so-
have it both ways.
For me, like I'm a home bird. I I was always very happy to get home. Yeah, always very happy. Even going away on holidays now, I'm still
Still happy
2
to get
weeks
back.
Still happy to get back. Yeah,
Sitting in the Irish bar.
yeah. And,
In the Irish bar, yeah.
I don't do heat too well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm quite happy to be.
Dude.
I'll watch TV even during the winter with my back door open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't do heat, so I don't. Yeah,
This room's not great, then, is it?
no, we'll survive. We'll survive. Yeah. So
What was the coming back then? Obviously, then you had to probably pivot then with your mindset of what the future looks like for yourself then.
yeah, I did. Yeah, and I still always hoped that you know I might make a breakthrough and whatever else. But I in the back of my mind that you know my time is gone. I don't have the commitment levels anymore. And I remember my dad kind of looking at me one day and going, like, I actually turned into a bit of a lazy so-and-so because if I wasn't training, I wasn't doing anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was no such thing as Netflix back in those days or anything like that. Or laptops or well, there was laptops, but no tablets or anything like that.
Yeah,
So I'd be
cousin was
just stuck
delighted
on a
with that then,
TV or, but I wasn't helping around the place or anything like that. So I was probably gone into a little bit of, at that stage, well, we all know it's a bit of depression now at this stage, but at that time you wouldn't have dated a young person active. And I just remember my dad saying to me, "What the F are you at?"
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know. And he'd a taxi company in Athenry at the time. He sold the fruit business when I was 18.
Right.
Well, he just got over it all. There was no money in it anymore. And he said, "What are you at?" And I said, "I don't know." So why don't you go work with myself? And so I ended up getting a Hackney license. I went driving around the place, and then we ended up getting a 709D Mercedes bus, which is an old 1989. So it was, and we started doing nightclub runs with it, and that's how things started in the bus business. And then we realised, myself and my dad, we couldn't work together, and we killed each other like
most.
Oh yeah. And so he stuck with the taxi and he did a bit of the chauffeur work and I went to the buses then. So that's how that career started. It wasn't by choice. It wasn't by anything other than that. I needed to be doing something, but like I knew if I got into something, I wasn't going to.
Yeah.
It was like the rugby. I was never happy just playing with one of A. I had to be. I was never, you know what I mean, and so on, and so on, and so on. And I was the same with the buses. I was never happy to have one bus or two buses, even though I reckon the first 2 or 3 years I made more money than I ever did.
All them stags and hen runs and all.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just, and then I obviously seen the green lights. You know, the other big companies with the big bus, new buses that are worth 250,000. I was like, yeah, that's what I want. Not realizing that
you were happy enough, and you probably were the way you were.
You're not making as much money, like, you know what I mean. At the end of the day, you know. So I know, but yeah. So I put my head into that, and because of my understanding from hard work gets you places, I put the head down and started working hard at the bus and coach business, and I turned that into a successful business. But things started turning near the end, and that's ultimately, in my belief, why my accident happened when it did happen. Because I was just optimizing stress, lack of sleep, nutrition got out the window, exercise was non-existent, everything. Like I was a fit, healthy man, and within the space of 4 or 5 years, I was obese. So, I mean, I didn't even have time I didn't even understand what stress was because, I didn't have time.
Yeah.
I was
Just
going
comes
from
upon
moment
you.
to moment to moment. And I was a problem solver and anytime, but that was life.
Wearing too many hats.
Yeah. And ultimately, didn't put enough structure in place whereby, I had transport manager, I had mechanics, all the other type of stuff. But ultimately, if they got a difficult problem, they just pass it on.
Be back to you, yeah.
Yeah. Where I should have been kind of more, how to say, this is a business. This is your role. I'm sorry, but you have to deal with it. You have to sort it.
Yeah.
And so I can deal with business development, so on and so on. But I was trying to do it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I wanted to be that kind of lovable boss rather than being a proper, you know what I mean? That's
I feel your pain.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here like shit.
Yeah. So it's
Is that something you talk about in your keynote speaking now? Do you go back that far with it?
No, I don't, because primarily I think most people find the story more fascinating from the moment the accident happened and onwards, because that's the part where I go, oh Jesus, that's
it's
the
just
shock
interesting
moment.
listening to that part of it there.
It helps.
I could feel like just the aura coming off Keith there as a business owner himself, that it might help a certain select few people who are in the business industry at the minute not to sort of go down that same route that you did,
Yeah, and I've done so most of my talks around resilience, mental health, and that's obviously from 28, from the accident onwards. But I have done a small bit of one-on-ones,
prevention,
and about understanding the mistakes I've made and what it led to. Because again, as I said, I put the last 2 years before my accident happened, very much so a year before the accident happened, when a contract was pulled from underneath me. Now, I actually won the case against them, but they never paid, because I had to bring them to the High Court to force them to pay it. But I'd worked myself into the bone to get the business back to even keel.
Yeah, because of that.
Because of that. And I mean, literally, I thought I could see light down the end of the tunnel after working myself to the bone. And that's when the accident happened. But sure, as I said, I put on loads amount of weight because I wasn't sleeping at night in the stress. I was taking phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning because we'd vehicles out at 2 o'clock in the morning, up again at 6 o'clock because we'd vehicles out again, and all these different things going on. And then, newborn baby, building our dream house at the same time, just took on so much with all that pressure. And then we also had secured the franchisee for Mercedes-Benz bus and coach for the west of Ireland, had pumped a load of money into that. And I'll never forget the day that happened. When we were actually signing the agreement with them in Galway, was the day that the contract was pulled to us in Limerick.
Jeez.
And I tell you, talk about wearing that perfect mask. I was going into the toilet, dealing with this with the transport manager in the toilet at the G Hotel in Galway, going, what the hell's going on? Keep me updated. Literally walking back out of that toilet, sitting down with the Mercedes lads, going, with a big smiling face, going, yeah. Oh, yeah, let's sign here. Oh, man, it was like, it should have been the best day of my life, one of the best days of my life.
Yeah.
But all this is going behind it. Yeah, so, yeah. But again, I didn't understand stress at the time because I didn't have time to say, oh, man, that's stressful. Because you're just going from moment to moment to moment. Yeah. Quench your fire.
Stretch yourself physically and mentally at the same time.
Yeah. So, and again, I always put that down to that moment of, because it happened overnight. They pulled the contract overnight and another operator overnight. As I said, we won them. We brought them to as far as they were allowed to go in the contract. I won hands down. Won a 6-figure sum. And all they did after that was write back to my solicitor and say, we don't stand over this judgment.
Jeez.
That's all they had to do. Not once was I ever told that, and ultimately I'd have to bring them to the High Court to force them to pay the settlement figure. And sure, at that stage, the business was on its knees. We'd lost 24,000 per week cash flow because we moved overnight. I had X amount of vehicles idle. I had to go and find new work for them. Yeah. So it was just, I was straight, and obviously I was after putting a load of money into the new Mercedes franchisee. Oh, man.
When you say it all out loud.
Yeah. So as I was telling you about, about the book and all that, really going back to all this, I was going.
Yeah, this is all, it's all there in black and white.
Yeah.
And when you're stressed, I've listened to another podcast, like when you are stressed, you find your body you don't actually get sick or anything like that. You just keep building. Like, I see lads in work coming in sick and all the whole time, but I never get sick. Yeah. But what they say, like, when all that stress settles, then you start picking up the sicknesses, like, and when you do get sick, it can like really hit you for 6, like,
What used to hit me was once a year. I mean, literally once a year. I get this 24-hour just bug of virus. And I'd be in bed and I'd be in the shivers and everything. 24 hours later, I'd back up again, rise the rain. It was later like the body just shut down for that 24 hours and reboots.
And then gone again. Yeah.
That happened.
I get that the whole time, around Christmas time.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
It's usually after going out for like the Christmas party or something. Like, or like you relax a little bit and then your body just goes bang.
Yeah.
Any budding entrepreneurs listening to this now?
Don't do it.
Shitting themselves.
Don't do it.
But look, you've mentioned there, obviously, the elephant in the room when it comes to yourself, and it's the accident. And it's something obviously that you probably spoke about a lot, like in your keynote speaking and through the Lighthouse Charity and all. But for any of our listeners that are listening today, would you be able to take us through the events or what led up to the accident and then the aftermath?
Okay, well, look, so it was a Friday. Normal day, I was about to drive a busload of rugby players up to Northern Ireland. And as I said, I was overweight, I was obese, I was unhealthy, the whole lot. But I didn't know that. You know, you live in your own skin. Didn't realise that I had gone so bad. But on that given day, I'd went into the next door where the house was, changed into bus driving gears, white shirt, black pants. And came out, and I was ready to drive off, but 15 minutes to spare. And I just, I couldn't just sit down in the office and have a chat with the transport manager because I didn't have time. And I couldn't talk to the show and open the office. So I was scanning the yard, and I just seen a metal bench down, and I was in the corner. It wasn't so much in the way, but I just said to myself, do you know something? Somebody's going to reverse into that now at night. And when I'm up in Belfast, I'm going to be having to deal with a whole heap of headaches, So I said, right, the best thing to do now is move this bench out of the way, and I'll alleviate that problem. Yeah, now, But I was in a white shirt, and there's a rustic bench, around 60, 80 kgs. Bench I would have lifted many times on my own. But because I was in the clean clothes, I couldn't lift it into myself,
Okay, yeah.
So I called Sean, and we can come over and asked him to lift up the bench. And when I lifted up the bench, we took 10 or 15 steps across the yard. Now we're kind of in the top of the wash bay. And and actually I got this bolt up the back. And I dropped the bench. I was like, fuck. It was a pain I'd never felt before. It was definitely unique, different. Hadn't felt something like this before. And I liked that. I was a man. Didn't show pain. So I went down, kind of 2 hands down or on my knees, leaned over, took 10 or 15 deep breaths, and eventually recovered. And Sean was looking at me, you all right, because I did let out a fair old roar. I like that. Don't want to show weakness. I'm a boss. I'm a man. I said, okay, let's go again. So I picked up that bench, and worst scene I've ever made in my life. 1 step, bang. Like somebody put a shotgun to my back, pulled the trigger. Fell on the ground, roaring in pain. Didn't fall, I just crumbled. And the bench fell on top of me. And then by the time I kind of got a chance to stop roaring from pain, I realised the bench was on top of me. But I couldn't feel it. Then I realised the legs were underneath me. Couldn't move them. Then I was like going, what the hell's going on here? Trying to touch them. Couldn't feel myself touching them. Couldn't identify with them at all. And then I had a belt on me. And, and I was trying to get the belt off because it felt like it was melting into me. Don't know why, this really weird sensation. And all I could do was concentrate, get this belt off me. And I couldn't move because the centre of gravity was gone and everything was gone. And I said the bench was still on top of me. And eventually I got it off. And it made it absolutely worse. It was like a big surge of burning came down through my legs. It was like plastic was melting into my skin. Jeez. And I was roaring. No, I mean, I was roaring. I couldn't stop it. There was no relief. Poor Sean was looking at me going, what the hell's going on here?
What's going on here, yeah?
I'm sure I didn't know myself. I hadn't a clue. Not a clue what was going on. So ultimately, my now ex-wife was next door, and eventually got a grasp of my breath and told Sean to go and get him. And she came out and said, just ring the paramedics. And they came out, and man, they were incredible, genuinely, led by Thomas was his first name. And they put a compression suit around me, but it took about half an hour just to make sure everything was right. And they gave me that green whistle to kill the pain. Nothing. It didn't do anything. Genuinely didn't do nothing. And they would bring me into hospital then, and I just always remember when it was Tommy, not Thomas. Tommy was your man. Tommy Mahan was the name of the paramedic. And I don't know where I remember that. It just seemed really nice man. I've met him several times since out in the prom and Sawtail, different places. Yeah. And I was just remember I said, we were going into the A&E, he just said, I said, Jesus, you know what's going on here? I said, I don't, but be straight with you. Most people who come out who has had a back issue or something like this, they either have some sort of movement back or some sort of feeling back. And I had nothing. And I was still, any little movement, I would be roaring in pain. So that was kind of what happened. So I hadn't a clue what went on, but other than that, it was just pain. And like, that was the biggest, memory of it all. And like, some
It's
people,
all internalized pain, really, is it? Like,
it's so, ever people have sciatica and they say they're crippled with pain. Well, that's a pinched nerve. So basically, later I found out I'd severed 90% of my spinal cord. So that's hundreds of thousands of and basically it's like basically, you ever see a terminal battery? You try and connect the 2 points and the sparks. It's trying to connect.
Yeah.
That's basically kind of an analogy for
what's going on.
Your nerve endings were disconnecting. They kept on trying to fire and reconnect, like hundreds of thousands of them. Yeah, so that was the burning sensation. You see,
that's what the burning sensation was.
Yeah. But sure, I didn't know that. I was like, it was it was an unusual time, but like, how to say, there was so much pain involved. I didn't have time to understand it.
That's what I was going to say. How long from the time you got into the ambulance or wherever to finding out what actually happened?
I could have been told that I had to go in to get an MRI done, which is one of the hardest things again. Because an MRI machine, you're in the cylinder mode and you had to lie in this kind of metal bench that's rock hard. And even I remember being hoisted off the bed onto it. I mean, I was hoisted because it couldn't lift me. It was so heavy and my legs were dead. My 2 feet just dangled like that, like a puppet.
Yeah.
Because they had to hoist me up like a...
you were over the edge of it.
Yeah. And then once they put me onto that bed, oh man, the pain. Just lying down on that bed was horrific. And staying still for 45 minutes.
Probably would say that you'd stay on it for a while.
Yeah. And I don't even know if they had given me medication to nullify the pain at that stage. I really don't know. Can't remember, but whatever they did, it didn't help. And then they got the results, and that's when the alarm bell started ringing. And then Dr. Cullen came in, and when he came in, he sat down beside me, on the bed, and now my wife was there. My parents were in beside me, and everybody knew there was something seriously wrong. Did he tell me at that stage? I really don't know. But all I remember is, we're in trouble here, Fergus. We have 12 hours to operate on you. He didn't tell me why. And then he said, but we don't have the expertise here. We have to get you to Dublin.
Jesus.
And in the bells and rings, then they were organising whether to get the spinal injuries unit in Maher or to Beaumont. The surgeon could go into either place, wherever you could get the bed.
Yeah.
And initially, the spinal injuries unit, for some reason, said they weren't able to take it, so they were organised to get us to Beaumont. So they're organising an air ambulance to come down from Athlone to pick me up, to fly me up. But then between the jigs and the reels, the spinal injuries unit came back and said they were able to take me, and that was the preferred option. So, but they said they'd seen the MRI, but they wanted to get another one done to make sure that when I got to Dublin, that they were able to operate straight away. So I had to go back in, and I got that done, and I think the second time wasn't as severe, because I think whatever the way they put me on the MRI machine the second time, it was better.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know. I kind of
just a better idea, I'd say, of which way to deal with it. And they knew what the problem was.
I do remember once, one time, like one of the nurses was giving out to me because I wouldn't lay still. And I would roar. I mean, oh man,
excruciating pain.
Yeah. And she giving out to me when I act like a child. When I stop acting like a child.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's my driving memory of it,
Yeah,
if you could have got up.
Yeah, exactly. So when we got up, so basically the air ambulance, when they flew to bring me back up, discovered the air ambulance couldn't fly, couldn't land when it was dark. I don't know the ins and outs. I think it was an army one that was sent down.
Okay.
And there was something to do with there was the lights that they couldn't land the night, or the pilot hadn't the lights. I don't know.
Night training or something.
Yeah. And I couldn't, so I had to be blue lit. I remember that journey all the way up to put that compression suit on me again, and I'm not messing. From just vibrating off the gearbox and engine, it was like I had my hand in the electric fence all the way up, shock after shock for 2.5 hours. And when I got up there, all I wanted to do was get that operation done. I didn't care.
Yeah,
Nothing
could have been as bad as that.
Yeah, and obviously what was going through my head is get out the other side. I'll be better some way or another.
I was going to say that to you. Did you have any hope or
again, nobody told me
idea of, you didn't know what?
No, nobody told me anything. So I was holding on to that thing of do you know, that will be improvement on the far side of it. So I had to sign off in a waiver form.
You were in the right hands. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't think I asked any question. No, my wife might have or whatever.
I was about to say, did anyone else know?
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is when I came through the far side, it was like 8.5, 9 hour operation. I remember it was like the movies. You know, you see in the movie somebody waking up from a car accident and coming in and out of consciousness.
Yeah.
And I was like that. And the very first thing I remember was I had these 2 feet in front of me, and they're on the plinth. They're leaning out like that. I look at them, and like a couple of seconds in the very direction, shit, that pain. And it just started increasing, even though I was up to my eyes and everything. And man, I was just like, I was going, oh, fuck. Like, you know, that pain is still there. It's worse because now I had the operational pain.
Yeah.
And then I started trying to connect with my feet. They were just like 2
someone else's feet, yeah.
Couldn't identify with them, couldn't move them, still trying to, feel it, nothing. Then I realised I had a catheter, a tube up my penis.
Yeah.
Nappy on, bells and whistles everywhere. And I was going, oh man.
This is worse than it was.
Yeah. So obviously then I went, oh man, this is real bad. And that's kind of, it was a bad moment. But then the surgeon, I don't know how long it was. Can you remember it now? I was in consciousness and stuff like that. And surgeon came into me and sat down beside me, and he was talking away to me. I hadn't a clue what he was saying to me because I was just looking at these 2 feet in front of me. Yeah. And I remember he stood up, and as he was standing up, that's how he caught my attention, And he just asked me, had I any questions for him? I hadn't a clue what he said to me. And he could have told me at the stage, I don't know. But I do remember saying that. I just looked at my 2 feet and I looked up to him and I said, is this the way I'm going to be? Like that. Yeah. Because I had it figured out at this stage. I'm seriously bad. I sat back down and put his hands on my shoulder like this and just said, sorry, Fergus, but you've been very, very, very unlucky. I just got up and walked out.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So there was some very dark moments there in that moment, Yeah, so it was. Yeah, so that's basically the crack with that,
Was there, obviously, that moment where he walked away and the dark moment you talk about after it, does it become depression straight away, or is it still shock, or is it still, what's the it's probably hard for you to think about what mind frame is like at that moment.
Do you know, I'm going to put it, I don't know what it was, but I went into self-pity mode. Okay, so I went very dark, very deep. And I'm a very traditional type of guy, I'm still that type of person who would, pull out the chair for, and open a car door, open a shop door, or whatever, maybe give up a seat. That's the type of person I am. So I always remember, and don't ask me what made me do this, but first thing I thought was my daughter, 7-year-old. 7. I'm not going to walk her down the aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was building a brand new house out the back. I was building a brand new house. My 5-year-old son, Bradley, and the garden wasn't even done. But I visualised I was never going to be able to play football off the back with him. Yeah. But then what dawned on me a little bit later was I had a 6-month-old son. I didn't have one thought about him. Why? Because the pressure of the business took away any opportunity I had of building a relationship with my own, my blood son. The pressure of the business, pressure of being the pillar of society, pressure of putting up that mask, that front, that everything was all hunky-dory. And that is about all the things that happened to all that. Even my marriage split up. That is what hits me most, is that I thought I was living, I was considered a pillar of society because I was an employer in the town with a big business going, all that type of stuff. But I didn't have blood. I didn't take the time to have a bond with my blood, my own blood. That's not life.
No.
And even processing those moments in your head, with your son and your daughter, it's literally, it's taken, memories of time that you've spent with them, has logged itself and saved itself within your mind. And then you're saying to yourself, right, I've got a baby here where the future's ahead of it, and the same moments that you would have worked through with those other children is ahead of this, and it's blank. It's like an empty, data card in your head. And we've only spoke about this in the podcast recently about like how having certain amount of memories in your, locker and
in the bank,
like is important when it comes to the end of it. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you can spend your days doing, your 9 till 9s or whatever it is, even more than that. Like, and at the end of it, what have you got to show for it? Like,
Yeah, well, it's interesting how you say that, because like my biggest thing now that I do in my life is making sure that I'm creating memories with my kids. Like, I'm trying to instill in the love for traveling. I'm trying to do, bring them off different places to eat, just create different memories. Like this summer now, we would have climbed a good few, like we did Kilpatrick, Diamond Hill, a few different, different things, just to create kind of these memories. Like I brought Amy to her first soccer match in Liverpool, and she'd absolutely love that. Brought Bradley to Rome, Phelan's still too young to go anywhere with him, but I brought him, just creating memories rather than like, things that, as you said, fill up that memory bank and, rather than just a mundane,
Do you think with the, like in terms of the business, do you think like your intentions were good at the start of the business where you're doing it for your family, but then it grows into something that it's, you're actually hindering it rather than...
Yeah, so the reason behind building the business, we went through a period in Ireland during the financial crisis where a lot of my friends went to Australia and stuff like that, and I could see, that they had no other options.
Yeah.
And I had the option of staying because my dad was a business.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create the same environment. If ever anything happened, that my kids had options.
Be covered,
and I was always headstrong and building a business that would be the situation.
A legacy nearly,
Yeah, but that
at the sacrifice and
yeah. And then like I kind of lost sight of that. Then I was just looking at building a bigger. So that was an issue why I was building the business eventually, so there would be something there for them to step back into if there needs a. But ultimately, after a period of time, that was kind of forgotten about, and it was all about building bigger and better, and be the best. We nearly became competitive, and nearly
the roadmap changed.
Yeah.
Is it selfish in a way to think that? Do you think it's selfish to sort of assume that your kids need that?
That's a good question.
It's like opportunities present themselves, and because of the person that you are, you're kind of attracted to it, and you just say, "Well, we can do it." Like
I try and model myself, I suppose, on what my parents for me, because that's the upbringing I understood, and that's probably the upbringing I was trying to give my kids as well.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky that I had that, and my dad, was able. We never had money, but I had opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I suppose I was just trying to mimic that, because that's what I understood was good parenting, because I had a good upbringing, and that's what I was just thinking. Whether it was right or wrong, I have no idea. But it was just
a good way to put it, though. You're giving your kids opportunity rather than just giving them everything. I know you give them what they need in general terms, but giving them the opportunity to make their own money as well. That's what you mentioned with your dad, like.
So. Other than that, I haven't really thought that much about it, It
always made me wonder, like, not just from, I'm an employee, like, I don't have the drive to ever want to, set up my own business, but I'm around people, and through the podcast, I'm around and speak to a lot of people who do, like, and it's something that I think about when I go home, and I think about, if I was to, even see the podcast maybe as a business down the line, and I speak to my daughter, like she's 11 now, like, and she has that bit of banter with me now at the minute, where she'll critique the podcast and stuff.
Tell you're doing it wrong, basically.
Yeah. And I'd be saying to her, look, like, you never know, like, you might get a job here for you on it. You could do a bit of producer. She's mad into the TikTok, and could be a bit of a role here for you down the line. I'm thinking about the likes of yourselves, like, previous business owner at the minute. And you'll know Keith, like, through, bringing Callum, your son, in to the business every now and again. Is it an old fashioned concept of building a business to pass on to the kids, or is that gone in Ireland? Is that gone in the world at the minute now? Do you think? Do you think like that? You just need to do what you're doing for you, and everything else just needs to find its own path, like,
Yeah, I definitely is probably more of a traditional way of looking at it, But all you can do really is try and give your kids the best opportunities as possible, but make sure that they value it, You know, there's no point in giving them opportunity if they don't value it. Because
would you have been disappointed, do you think, like if you say you didn't have the accident and the business prospered and
they had no interest.
You were talking to us now and you got to a point where you wanted a hand and they had no interest in it?
I killed them.
But that's the cost, you see, you know, like you get to a point where you think like you've built something and then you don't have it to hand over to somebody in the family. It could be soul destroying.
Yeah, I think because you see that with some businesses, you know, that the father or the mother are still there working their ass off because there's no succession and they haven't had an exit strategy. And I always remember, like, say, just before all this happened, and like the business was beginning to fly it, you know, and it took me a long time to get the approval for that Mercedes after sales support, you know, for the West of Ireland, and I was talking to one guy who was massively successful within the bus business. I won't say what his name was, but he always told me was like, what was the biggest thing he did in business was always have an end plan of how to get out. And his idea was business is to make money. And whatever you can do with that, you can provide for your kids or your family. And that's it. And that always made me think, you know, I was looking at the business as a family business to hand down, whether I was making money or not. But I was going to hand over the headaches, basically. Yeah. But his idea was, no, the business is to make money to provide for your family.
Yeah, it's a different entity.
A different mindset as well. So he didn't. He loved business, but he didn't
take it personally.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't
too sentimental about the actual
and I was very sentimental about you know, I think I love buses more than, you know, I love my dogs and things like that, but I actually name my buses after my kids, like, and after my grandparents and about people who passed away and all this, because that's what I actually did within the business.
That's I think that's the passion that gets it going, but then passion needs to change.
Exactly. You know, so I always just thought it was a very a good way of looking at it, you know, as in going to business but having an exit plan so you don't get, I suppose, swallowed up by it, you know, and if a business is good enough, then you'll make money in it and you can give that opportunity to your kids, whether they want to stay in it, great, or if they don't, you can move it on.
Invest in something else or something.
Yeah. Or invest in education or whatever they may be, you know.
Yeah.
So
it's an interesting one, yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm saying that now, but would I have taken that advice at the time?
Yeah.
Probably not, no, because I was too
It's reflection, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And obviously you had the accident at like the perfect wrong time, if you want to call it that.
Do you know something? There's one thing I'll always say about the accident, because I had been so stressed and so up to my eyes in debt. But because of what happened to me, I literally had to say, I can't do anything now. I literally can't. All I can do now is focus on myself to get myself better. And
something you hadn't done in as long as you could remember, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Everything was put in front of me. The bus were put in front of me, maintenance of the buttons, the customers put in, my employees were put in front of me. You know, everything's put in front of me. I was the very last, petty last and everything, even paying myself a wage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Petty last. You know, simple as. So now, click the switch, I started to have to focus on myself. Otherwise, I was doomed. Now, I was able to click it like that because I had to. There was no other option.
Choice.
No choice, yeah. You know, it's either sink or swim.
That drive that you would have had to get the business to where it was that same drive then still within you then to see yourself back walking again?
Completely different drive. I did not know that was in me. Genuinely, I did not know that was in me. I look back at it now and I understand where I got it from, but through a lot of it, especially the first 3 or 4 months, I didn't really understand how I was kept going, because it was like 1 or 2 hours a night max you'd ever sleep, and I was from pure exhaustion, you know. And to be able to get up and go again the next day and go again the next day, go again the next day. And I mean, you'll be exhausted and you'll be pain 24/7 and you'll be so much medication, so much everything like that. And I didn't know how I stayed going until later on when I didn't want to be here anymore. And luckily that didn't happen. And then I went to psychiatric ward. Within that psychiatric ward, I actually found out who I really was. You know, so through that period of being in the NRH, St. Finbarrs, and the National Spinal Unit, you know, I obviously went into that zone that I need to be in to get to where I wanted to be. But I don't know. I wasn't understanding I was in that zone. I just got up, did it, and just. But it's like exactly probably like when that contract was pulled, I just did what had to be done.
Yeah, you go into survival mode. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Is there a plan put in front of you, like when you actually, you know, talk to the likes of the physiotherapists and the doctors and stuff? Is there a timeline of, you know, potentially you can get to this point, and if you don't get there, then we're sort of pulling the plug on or do you have the opportunity to keep going with it?
So, I'll go back to kind of. Operation was done. Second day, the surgeon came back into me and told me it was basically grade A spinal cord injury. If I get moved within 72 hours, I have a 5% chance of getting some sort of strength back. If after 72 hours I get no movement, I have 0% chance.
Jeez.
So obviously at that stage then, I knew I had 72 hours to fight. One thing I knew how to do was work hard. So I had that in my locker, right? Number one, I had that. But also I knew I didn't have time to invent new tools. Didn't have time for it. So I went back into something I did massively when I was younger. And a big thing before it was even in vogue was I used to use a visualization. When I put on that green jersey for Ireland under 18 levels, I used to visualize myself running around the field with rugby ball and that green jersey and, you know, handing off like John Lumen used to hang off with All Blacks and all these type of things. But it was a visualization and I actually achieved it. And also when I wanted to get my first new bus, I used to visualize me driving around in my first new bus and eventually but then I visualized about things I can impact. I didn't visualize about winning the national lottos because I can't impact the machine. Do you know what I mean? So it's not, I'm not visualizing about airy-fairy stuff that never happened. Realistic stuff that I can impact. So that's what I started doing. I started visualizing about moving my big right toe. I always remember, why did I pick my big right toe? Because again, if I visualize myself jumping out of that bed and walking out that door, was that ever going to happen?
That's not realistic.
No, it was never going to. So I remember, and I could see my toes.
Yeah,
so it was just I could literally see my toe. So I just visualized about moving that big right toe, and like there was a circuit board in the room, and I remember that I thought that circuit board was my brain. And there's a switch there, and I said, if I can put on that switch by moving my big right toe, I'll turn on that light above me. And that's making my connection.
So imagine you're even talking about the toe as if it's like not part of you, like, you know.
Yeah. It's like
that toe over there, like, you know.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. And that's what I did. And so I knew I had visualization. I didn't invent new tools. I just started this. I did that like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times over that 72 hours because I wasn't sleeping because of the pain. And ultimately, after 72 hours, nothing happened. But it's not in my DNA. Just sit there and do nothing because I would have went crazy. See, also I understood if I had something to do, I wouldn't be dwelling on everything. I wouldn't be going down that depression route. I had something to work on, to focus on, to keep my mind occupied elsewhere, keep my mind away from that pain, something to work on. And ultimately after 72 hours, after 72 hours I had to go into ICU because I got clots in my lungs from staying still and all these different things. And then eventually, I think it was 9 or 10 day, I got down to St. Finbarrs. And again, down there, I was a grade A spinal cord injury. All I was doing was taking up a hospital bed until I got to the NRH, which is 16 to 18 weeks. So, like, no, they brought me down to the physio room and all that just to keep body. You know, there was no power, nothing there. 21 days later, I moved my toe at 2:30 at night.
All right.
Yeah, I remember literally moved like that. I thought I was hallucinating.
That's what I was thinking. I was going to say.
But I never give up.
Yeah.
I never, ever, ever give up.
And could you feel that movement?
No.
I
could just feel it. So again, talk. So I was making that reconnection. Every time I thought about it, I visualized. I mean, I could visualize that it was like a wire. You know, the sparky.
Yeah.
You know, a wire going from my brain down through my broken spinal cord, all the way down through my groin, calf, ankle, into that toe. And I would visualize the spark.
Yeah.
Literally.
Make it down.
Yeah. And bang, 21 days later. And the Dr. Cullen came in that morning. He usually came around the evenings because, I was great. All I was doing was taking up a bed because I was going to the National Rehabilitation Hospital to learn how to live a life in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
That's what
you were roadmap to do.
Yeah, exactly. That was the program. And he came in that morning, and I was, after the nurse seeing me doing it, after the nurse's assistant helped me do it. And the first thing he came in and said to me was, "Now, Fergus, I hear you might have moved your big right toe." I said, yeah, with a big smile on my face,
Yeah.
And he goes, "These could be involuntary spasms." That's the medical word, and I was going, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
Talk about kicking out when he's down,
Yeah.
No, I didn't say that out loud.
Yeah.
That's what I was going. I said, and then I moved it, and then he said the same thing again. I moved a second time. Now, bear in mind, this was exhausting. It was so draining. It was like, I can't even describe how draining
So it was
it
kind of semi-on demand then.
It was. So to do it 3 times in a row, it was just, I didn't. So eventually I moved. I was remembering, he's a big man, 6'4", and softly spoken, and he kind of just turned around and he just stood back and went, "Fergus, that's most unexpected." I just kind of said, again, watch out, basically.
Yeah.
And after that, then you had that physical improvement, so you had something to latch onto, something to keep you motivated, something to keep you, pushing on, driving on, and ultimately my wait time then was reduced from 16 to 18 weeks down to 9 to 10 weeks because I was in movement. Yeah, so
change everything.
Put up the list.
Yeah, and literally a few days later I was in the NRH. Well, not a few days later, 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks later or something like that, I was up in the NRH.
What are the staff like up there?
Incredible. Such an eye opener though. Man, I thought, I went in my flat on my back. I was probably moving all my toes in one foot at this stage, maybe a bit more. I can't really remember, but I just remember arriving. It was the old hospital. It's a brand new one now, state of the art. But I went into the old one, and I think St. Margaret's Ward. I can't remember the name of it. Not important.
Yeah.
But it was like an old common building, and there was a 16-bed ward, and literally we had the space of a wheelchair in between my bed, a single bed, space of wheelchair, and there was men and women in the ward. But when I went in there and flattened my back, I was still probably the best in there. There's people with, paraplegics. There's people with tumors on their spinal cords. There was there was every sort of thing in there. And I was just in that ward. So it took me a few days to really kind of
climatized.
Oh man, I had an awful shock. And I had a really bad shock, but very quickly it made me change my mindset.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
How lucky I was, because even though I had no legs, no immense pain, body functions not working, I could still push my wheelchair. I could still talk. I could still look.
Yeah.
I could get down to the breakfast room, which was an absolute beast of a journey. There's one lift.
Yeah. The arms are big anyway.
Yeah. So so it made me really understand that I should appreciate everything I had rather than everything that I don't have. And we're all envious of that. We're all guilty of that.
Yeah.
I was very guilty of it, but trust me, that was such an eye opener to really appreciate everything I have, and I had a lot. But everything was taken for granted, because that's what we do as human beings. We take things for granted.
Is that somewhere you can bring your family into?
I'm sure they won't know you into the wars now these days, but I always said, there's 2 places I really reckon should be on a transition year program: the NRH and a prison.
Yeah.
Now I've never been, but I've been in prison playing a soccer match. There's a long story years ago. I wasn't in there because I was forced to go in there. But
still time,
yeah. But imagine if those on your transition year programs. I think it would open an awful lot of eyes. Yeah. Just to understand how lucky you are to have all function, because we take these things for granted.
Yeah.
But really and truly, there's something there. It's a privilege you're given at birth.
Yeah.
And you should never ever take them for granted. Do you
The
know?
staff that work in there, I was
Oh,
obviously
it's-
just touching upon it because I
Yeah,
was
so
only
that-
thinking that if they were coming in and they have, you know, duties of care to try and get the individual back to their highest potential of what they can do physically. But there's also the mental aspect that they're dealing with in the day to day with the likes of yourself.
Yeah.
Must
People
be
under stress,
under like very stressful jobs.
Yeah, like, look, I have to say, now, from the moment that Tommy Mahan and that paralysis, now there's another lady with her, I don't know what her name was. Sorry, guys. But until I got back out, I have nothing but the highest praise for everybody I came across in the HSE.
Yeah.
Like, but obviously NRH, really special place. And I was lucky at a lady by the name of Sorka, my physio, and I understood, she really got me. She knew how to push me. And she also knew that she didn't have to be looking over my shoulder. It was actually the worst thing to be doing, was actually probably looking over my shoulder. She just, here, do this, and she'd leave me alone and I'd do it.
Yeah.
Because once I was told to do something, I'd do it. And also something I found out about myself is, like, you know, somebody tells me something I can't do. Yeah. Oh, man.
For something so physical, the mental is like probably a million times more than actually getting that physical thing done. Like,
Like,
can you imagine?
You're like, it was repetition, and you wouldn't see any improvement at all. And eventually it would just click, but you just had to keep at it.
And does your mind be exhausted trying to get that going?
Yeah.
So you're still physically drained after that, even though you're not doing the physical movement.
But even to this day now, right? So my body's fighting pain 24/7. I'm on the max amount of gabapentin you can a day. I was on a lot of OxyContin, but I had to get myself off because it turned me into a completely different animal. Even though the medical world never told me to come off it or do anything, but I just had to come off it. But one of the biggest things I had to learn was to understand not to fight fatigue. My body, because I mightn't be doing anything, but as I sit here, my body's fighting that pain.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I have to understand it gets to a point where I just have to do nothing.
Yeah.
And sit there and just watch TV and just let it ride it out.
Yeah.
Because once I push through it, I just get so angry, get so agitated, and so on. But for a long period of time, I just was not understanding it. You know, because ultimately I thought the body I have now was able to do what it was able to do previously.
Yeah.
But it's not. Do you know?
Yeah.
It's just
I was going to say that, like, going into the accident and then eventually getting to the point of walking out, were you a different person?
Mentally.
Completely. Not just mentally, like, do you recognize yourself now as a person to the person that you were before the accident?
I'm definitely 100% different person now. When I left NRH, I was a different person in a different way. I was not the same person going in, but it was more got to do with the medication. Obviously, I had that euphoria of getting back on my feet and feeling brilliant about it, but I had that perfect mask on because I had that physical improvement, and people were going, "Oh, aren't you doing mighty?" And I'd be going, "Yeah, I am."
Yeah.
That was just a front because I had physical improvement. Everything else behind my marriage was failing big time because of something I did, and I've no problems of admitting it was like I started that. Yeah, I did something that I shouldn't have done. No, it's just what it is. What happened. Medication had me gone. I was a completely different. I was a different person completely.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in that moment, you don't realize that. There was just so many different things going on, you know, but I still had that fight to get on my feet. As I said, my business was failing. My relationship with kids was destroyed because I hadn't seen them properly.
Yeah.
I remember some weekends you get home, you know, and after the first weekend I got home, it was so difficult on everybody because my ex-wife had the 3 kids to be mine, and we were living in our old grandmother's house while the other house has been done up, and the wheelchair they gave me wouldn't even go in the door of the house.
Oh, yeah.
And then I ultimately got into the couch, and I sank in the couch, and I wasn't able, like even with my arms, I wouldn't even pull myself out of the couch. So I was just stuck there. I was everybody's way.
Would your wife have become your home nurse? Do you think? Like, would you have taken on that role?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. That's probably so. That's one of the things that I always remember, and I find it difficult is I never got really a hug from her when I needed her most. And I hate saying that because, you know, she is a good person, like, but when I really needed that support, mental support and emotional support, I didn't get it. And I might be adding up 2 and 2 and making 8, but I believe because of what I end up doing, you know, I wouldn't have happened if I had that emotional support when I was there, because everything else was crippling, you know. So the marriage was breaking down, the business was breaking down. So again,
it would have held a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Considering everything else that was going on.
Yeah, it would have, because I was crying out for it.
Yeah, needed it.
Yeah. And I remember when I got home out of the hospital, I even ended up getting 2. I said I'd get 2 dogs for the kids. They were for me. You know, because I was just looking out for something to.
I know. What you're talking about.
So that was. So even though I got out on my feet and I had the euphoria of beating that prediction and walking again, it wasn't. Because
do you feel like other things were failing you?
And they were more important than actually being on my feet.
Yeah, things that you'd built up before.
Yeah. You know, so it wasn't as euphoria moment as what people would think it would have been. How would I say? Symbolically, like, it was absolutely crazy. It was brilliant. I remember I walked out through those doors and then RH on my own. I had no fanfare, no support. Nobody came up to see. I drove home because I'd learned how to drive a car with hand controls. Okay. So I was able to put the wheelchair in beside me and hop in the car and drive home. And I actually went to IKEA. I went around to IKEA before I came down in my little Zimmer rollator and put the few things inside and brought it down because she'd moved into the new house that we built. I was bringing down a few ornaments and things like that to go in the house, you know. So I wouldn't go down empty-handed. But so that was kind of, there was no fanfare. Yeah. So it was.
You were on the road to learning how to be the new version of yourself, nearly, like. Yeah. You're literally like blank canvas, like. Yeah. You don't know you probably don't know who you are, like.
It's a things lost in the fire type of concept, isn't it? Like,
You're just trying to think of it happening to yourself, like, you know what I mean? Which you don't think of. You think, right, he went through recovery, like, what an animal. He's back, like, but what are you back to, like, and.
Exactly, yeah. Put it this way, what I came back to was a far less than what I'd left because of, you know, the breakdown relationships and all that type of stuff. And I could tell you this much, guys, when you go back into a brand new house that was built to my parents' land, and I designed it myself, put a lot of effort into the self-building it, and she did obviously as well. But that was actually one thing that distracted my mind massively when I was also up in the NRH, was I was arranging all the you know, subcontractors to come in and, you know, and getting price and making sure everything was in line. And, you know, so I was doing a lot of that, you know. And then at the weekends I come down and, you know, I get down onto site, and even though I was in a wheelchair, you know, they leave me there, I talk to guys, and, you know, it was just, because that's my passion, like, you know. It was, but there's nothing worse than, I don't know if you've ever got it, but there's nothing worse than silence in company.
Right, yeah.
That's what happened in that house when I came home. And that's a lot of my own fault. It's that, you know.
Yeah.
But I couldn't deal with that.
It's like a debt, isn't it? It's like,
it is, yeah. It's so awkward. You're sitting there. You're going,
relationships have changed, like.
Yeah. We don't know each other anymore.
Yeah.
You know. And I understand exactly, because I was a different animal. Yeah. You know, but I didn't know that.
You've been through.
Yeah.
You've been through, like.
But, you know, I just didn't know I was that animal. So if I knew, I might have tried to change a bit more, but I didn't realize it, you know.
You mentioned there, obviously, all the hard work that's gone into getting you to where you are today doesn't come without a cost, like, and obviously the relationship cost. But there's also the mental cost and there's the trauma that still comes from the accident.
Yeah.
You spoke about, obviously, maybe wanted to end things as well, like at a certain stage. Do them thoughts ever try to resurface? And is there certain things that you do in your day to day to maybe try to keep yourself on an even keel?
So I'm going to give you a long answer to that, right? If you don't mind.
Please.
So ultimately, right, I look at 7 weeks after I walked out through the doors of the NRH, I ended up in the psychiatric ward because I gave up on myself. First time through all this process, I just gave up on myself. I won't go into the reason being, but I just gave up myself. I was sick of fighting. I was sick of everything. I just didn't want to be here anymore, no matter what. And I put on that perfect mask and I went to the stag party, got fucking pissed and came home, and I wanted to, the next day I went to go and do the good deed. But luckily, my parents put out an alert for me, and a guard who I played rugby with spotted me literally 200 metres away from the bridge. And I hadn't seen that guy in 15 years. And he saved my life that day. So he did.
Jeez.
Yeah. So when I was brought me up to the Garda station, one of my friends came in, and my parents came. I think my parents came in. This is now again how messed up it was. I can't remember. But I also remember my ex came in and the guards kept her away altogether. But they kind of tricked me then and said, "Oh, we went to psychiatric ward, and if you sign yourself in, like you can sign yourself out the next day." I said, "Okay, look, I'll go in." Yeah. Sure, I went in, and the next day they wouldn't say, "No, you're too dangerous to yourself. You can't." I was like going, and that made me really angry.
Yeah.
But look at the beauty of being in there. I had 7 days of absolute clarity, no phones, no TVs, no nothing, good food,
Yeah.
And then I was here, like obviously after nearly wanting to end my life, but yet I was still looking at other guys and going, "Oh, geez, I don't belong here." That just shows how mad the brain. Yeah. But when I was in there, I discovered exactly who I was. First time in all my life.
How do you do that?
39.
How does that happen?
I just knew that if I didn't take this time to create a new ladder to climb myself out of it, that if I came out, if I went up the same ladder or down the same ladder, I'd be back in there.
Yeah.
So I just said, right, I need to sort myself out. So after about day 3, maybe day 4, I really started kind of, where have I gone wrong? What's happening? Where am I? And so on and so on. And that's where it dawned on me. I wasn't living I was living by social norms, not for what made me happy or why it was. I realized that everything I did in my life was a challenge. Picking the most amount of cabbage plants when I was a young laddie. Going from Monavea to Connacht to another, it was always a challenge in the business. It was always be bigger and better. But how did I manifest these challenges? How did I succeed or drive? It was always create a competition as well.
Yeah.
So I always had to, like, for example, when I was in the NRH, right? One of the very first days, there was a guy in there, lovely man, Polish guy. When I met him first, I thought he was an ass because he was going around the ward as fast as possible, pulling wheelies and everything, wheelchair, right? This man's got through it, and I just turned
showing
off.
off, like.
He's showing off, and I was like, "What an asshole like this," But I said to myself, internally, I said to myself, "I'm going to be better than him." That was it. But it was just creating that competition to drive me. But then the biggest thing I found out then was, so I found those things out about myself. So what did I go and do? So why did I end up wanting to be doing with myself after the 7 weeks? Such a short time, like.
Yeah.
It's because when I left when I was in NRH, I also had a challenge to get out on my feet. Now, every day when I was in there, I had a mantra as every day was a day to improve. Step by step, you'll get there. But I never realized I was actually, because they kept on telling me, even no matter I get to this stage, they still tell me wheelchair bound.
Yeah,
even my exit strategy was telling me wheelchair in public, function around my house. That was 2 weeks before my exit. And that was the first time I said out loud to the physio, I want to walk out of here. But it was a challenge.
Yeah.
But when I left NRH, I had no challenges. And so my mind just went empty. And let it run away. And, I was just sitting in that house, and I thought it would be quiet and lonely. When your mind is empty, it tells you one different things that you don't want to be hearing. It tells you all the negative things.
Yeah.
And I had no competition, no nothing. And ultimately, that's why I dived. And that's what I figured out when I was in there, that if I have challenges and competition in my life, I stay focused. I occupied. I don't let those internal negative thoughts into me. So ultimately, before I left it, I decided I was going to walk across the country 1 year after my accident. I could literally walk 50 meters. And I gave myself 3.5 months to walk. And a year later, 206 kilometers, I walked across the country over 5 days with my friends and family. And one of the best things I ever did. And that's why now I always have challenges and things in front of me or competition. And it doesn't have to be a physical challenge. Like, it could be learning a language, could be reading a book.
Yeah.
You know, things that, keeps me focused or interested in. Everyone else, when you say challenge, think it's physical.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be physical. For me, that's what I really like.
Yeah.
Even for me now to run a marathon, that wouldn't be good enough.
Yeah.
It'd have to be another level above it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Triathlon or something.
Whatever, But I know I can't swim. But it just has to be like, something kind of pretty big.
You make a great point. Like, we've talked about it loads of times, but I don't think anyone's really hit the nail on the head the way you did there with COVID, where everything just stopped for everybody and no one had a purpose. Everyone was at home on the couch.
Yeah.
All had a little sprinkle of what you were feeling, like,
Yeah.
So I remember the first, after we've said loads of times now, but after the first 2 weeks of being sitting home on the couch, like, I got just a small bit of depression because I wasn't working, you know what I mean? After going from mad work to nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then slowly grew into it, like you said, just picking up things, like people learned how to do other things at home, do you know?
Yeah.
Just
how to occupy that time.
And
you don't have to be going a million miles an hour all the time to occupy time.
No.
Yeah.
But there's a fear aspect to it as well, isn't there? Where you come out of, the NRH and you're saying to yourself, do I want to be defined as this now?
Yeah.
Is this what I'm going to be defined as for the rest of my life? Or am I going to, like you said, get on that new ladder now and start a new story, start a new journey, you know what I mean? And get to where you are now. And I think a lot of people could just sit there and wallow, and accept what has happened to them and just not try to progress themselves.
Yeah, and look, I'm very lucky, because ultimately, when I did give up on myself, people obviously clearly did love me because the alert was put out and they were worried about me, and I was saved. So I have to be very, 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 very grateful for that.
Shout out to the members of the guards as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll mention his name. Joe Brady was his name. Absolute guy I hadn't met in many years, and I can never thank him enough. And even the way he dealt with it.
I was going to say,
it was just incredible. Yeah. He knew what to do, how to do it. Again, there's certain aspects I just, it's memory blank and whatever else, but it was just really well done. And see, from that point onwards, but I have so the biggest thing for me is never give up on yourself. The minute you give up on yourself, there's very little that can be done for you. Do you know? And you might stay in that state of giving up yourself, but you might never get over you never might actually do.
Yeah, there's still something there for you. Yeah.
But you'll never get out of it if you don't fight for yourself.
Yeah.
But people think, in my opinion, is that if they fight for 2 or 3 days and they don't see the results, they go back down again. But anything in life that's worth building, i.e., the most important thing in anybody's life is their mental health and strength. It doesn't work in 2 or 3 days.
No.
You have to understand, your resilience. Resilience, just understand that, step by step by step by step by step, you will eventually get there. But every day you have to show up and you have to put in the hard work. And eventually you'll get there. But
the roadblocks are a part of that as well.
Yeah. Life isn't this, life isn't, how to say, up and down. It's like an ocean. It's up and down all the time.
Yeah.
And you just have to understand that when something bad happens within that journey, you have to look back at where you started. Because that happened to me with that role.
Yeah.
I had gone so far, but when I came off that boat, I was, that sense of failure came over me big time. Because we told the world we were going to do this in a world record time. We trained for 2.5 years. And I always remember, I couldn't, when I was coming back to Athenry, first of all, I told the people in Athenry that I had to stay in New York. And I told the people in New York who were looking after me that I went home. But I actually went to Paris.
Right.
Because I didn't want to be seen by anybody. And I have since a failure absolutely crippled me. So that like it was like the failure in the marriage, failure of bars, business failure of my mind, everything just started crippling me. But the difference was this time. So I developed tools to understand when I'm getting low. So I know when I'm getting low and when I don't, if I leave some dishes in the dishwasher, or if I leave clothes being washed, if I get untidy, and that's one of the biggest telltale signs. Or if I pass out a block that's on the ground 5 times in the space of a day, I know, I'm not right.
That's not you,
Yeah, that's not me. But now I also developed the tools of how to get myself out of it. Well, not develop the tools, but I'll go, okay, what haven't I done properly over the last few days? Have I exercised? Have I had my cold showers? Have I eaten healthy? Have I slept properly? And so have I hydrated? And if any one of those I haven't done for a few days, and if I haven't had a cold shower in the last few days, I'll get a cold shower. And next time I'm back.
Come back around,
or exercise and cold showers are the main ones for me. Or I also make the bed every morning, no matter what.
don't let my missus hear that. The exercise I can get away with, not the
But and that's what I discovered about myself. And that time was, but none of that was working after the row. Like I knew I was in that hole, but I kept exercising and I kept having my cold showers, kept making my beds, and then I started trying to find other things to get me. Nothing helped. Absolutely. And I actually, I went to, but the big difference was I didn't give up. I knew if I gave up, I was going to go really deep, and I was like, no way am I letting that happen.
There's an answer somewhere.
Yeah, there's an answer somewhere.
A
so
repair job.
That's the resilience, step by step. You'll get there. Like I still hadn't got as far back down as what I had been, a couple of years earlier. Yeah. So I knew, like, I was looking at the whole journey, not just where I was currently. I was going, okay, I need to figure this out. And ultimately, the biggest learned lesson I've had through all this is I actually just asked for help. I didn't try to figure it out anymore on my own, like a lot of us do.
Yeah.
And all I did was go to my local doctor, Philip O'Grady, and say, Philip, I'm struggling. What are you going to do for me? And then he started to try to give me antidepressants and stuff like that. And I told him I didn't really want to be on them because I had, tablets. But I tried them and it didn't work. Then eventually he got me to a counsellor. Went to a counsellor. Fantastic. And as I said, like, to me, being brave enough and smart enough and strong enough to put my hand up and say I need help has been the most powerful thing I've ever come across. Yeah. Because my life since then has just been transformed, because I know if I get in that hole, the people are there and the service are there if needed. But nothing's there if you don't look for it, if you don't ask for it. And that's probably been the biggest learning curve I've had through all this.
Do you think if you had known, well, not that you didn't know, but if you think if you had utilised it earlier on, there would have been
different story.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like even now, like I'm just not afraid now. I'm not. I actually realize now it's the strongest thing you can do, bravest thing as a person you can do. Because you know yourself in a team. If you're one of the players in the team and you're not fit, you're not looking after your skills or whatever else, you drag down the rest of the team with you.
Yeah.
But that's like you and your family unit.
Your family.
If you're not on the top of your game, everything else around you is going to struggle. But if you're on top of your game, by asking for help, by helping yourself,
you're going to help
everybody else around you. It's everything. Everybody rise with a rising tide, like.
And is that something that through like the Lighthouse Charity? Obviously, we've sort of linked in with yourself, like through the Lighthouse Charity, that now you've had the opportunity to go and do a few visits with them to sites and stuff, and actually speak out and put maybe a level playing field out for everybody on these sites to show that, by speaking out or speaking up and raising your hand and maybe, not having to do everything in public, but you can just share your stories with people.
Been there, worn the t-shirt.
It opens people up to maybe that concept of it's okay to talk.
Well, there's an awful stigma out there that, ask for help is a weakness. It's the complete opposite. And I actually genuinely don't understand where it comes from now when I look into it more. Because I know if somebody asks me for help, it fills me up with pride that somebody has the confidence to ask me for help, no matter what it is. So why does people find it so hard to ask for help? When really and truly, if I ask most people for help, they'll jump at you and say, oh, what can I do for you? Mm-hmm. So I don't understand where the stigma is that it's a weakness. But that's because now I've obviously had the opportunity to really think about it and trying to figure it out for myself. But I still can't figure it out, because all I know is when I asked for help, it was there for me, 100%. And most people I've talked to about it, really, I said, it's there for them as well. And also it shows how much valued and how much loved and how much wanted you are as well.
Yeah.
And there's another stigma out there that the services aren't there. I'm not going to be 100% correct in this, but like, the services are there when you need them.
Yeah.
But the services aren't there if you don't ask for them.
Yeah.
They're not going to come to your knock on the door and go, are you doing okay today, sir?
When you want them,
Yeah. They don't have the resource for that.
Yeah, so it's just taking the opportunity to let people know that there is a service there for them if they need it.
And that's the beauty of the Lighthouse Charity, and that's what we do with the MIV team, is the charity is there, it's funded by the industry, for the people in the industry and their families. And the whole idea of what's going out is just to let people know that there is support there. But that charity does not have the means to go to every man and every woman's door in the construction industry and say every night and say, are you okay tonight?
Yeah.
Have you dinner? Have you food to put dinner on the table? Have you money to put food in the fridge? Are you able to pay the electricity bill this week? Are you able to pay the rent? They don't have those facilities.
Yeah.
But if you can ring them and touch base with them and ask for that help, they have those resources to help people win in a crisis.
And everybody has a phone in their hand nowadays, like we spoke before we came on. I think it's like a certain extension of their body now. I mean, if you're feeling down, or, you could be just sitting in a room on your own in the middle of the night thinking, who am I going to talk to? It's a text message even. You don't even have to ring somebody. It could be text hard hat 50808. And I think, you're put onto somebody who can actually listen and give you the right information.
A real person you're put onto, a person who understands the issues that people in the construction industry have. You're not being put on with somebody who is, has to have an understanding of all industries. You're actually getting through to somebody who deals with, the stresses of the construction industry on a day-to-day basis. So they'll understand almost straight away, what you're going through. And so they can help it that little bit quicker, in my opinion. Yeah. And I'm very lucky that I've got involved with them, because ever since I've got involved in it, I've loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I'd love it as much as I did, as I would, but I actually am.
But it's that connection probably for you, and learned lessons and stuff that you can offer them,
Yeah, it is. And something? There's a bit of therapy in it too for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes you talk about these things, it's...
I wasn't the only one type of thing.
And then there is a lot of people out there who are putting on that mask, and you'll be giving a talk, or the other guy will be giving the talk, and you're in the background looking on, and you can see guys, you can just see them kind of melting in front of you. And going, geez, that resonates with me, and it might give them that thing. You'll have our big multicolored van behind us with the number there, and they might be, just saving that number, saying, I'm going to ring that, make that call. And that's what it's all about, just encouraging them to be the brave one, be the smart one, and pick up that phone and start the process of getting help.
Just jumping back to your own story then, you put that to paper, your own book, is it?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
What's the story there?
So look, it's the 2nd of October, it's coming out. Gill's book, done it. I did it with a ghostwriter, Louise O'Corban. As if anybody who knows me knows, I couldn't really write a book, to be honest.
Book about buses.
I'd even struggle with that. That'd be definitely a picture book. But look, it's I learned so much from it, for myself, about the mistakes I made all through my life, but also about some of the good things, and be proud of some of the things I've achieved. And not just from the accident and afterwards, but things before that as well, like, you know, that kind of you'd be glossing over beforehand. But most of it's about 2018 onwards and what I went through mentally, physically, financially, and how I managed to come out through the other side of it. And like, there's no magic formula to it. You just have to understand that every day is a grind, every day is a fight. But try and what's the word to use? Try and embrace it. Take ownership of it. Yeah. You know, and do it in your way. And don't be looking at somebody else's journey and try and replicate that, because that will guarantee you set you down the road of failure.
So it's just a reference for anyone to say it can be done if you do put your mind to it.
Yeah, look, everything can be done. You know, no, okay, no, but you know what I mean. As in,
it's okay to sustain as well. Like, it really is, like, not to be putting pressure on yourself to be at a point that might come eventually. You know, once you have the drive to get there, you can get there, but it doesn't have to happen straight away.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's what the modern world is. It's everybody wants things like that. You know, it's like you want to find out. Back in my day, you want to find out how long was the River Nile. You go to, you know, Book of Britannia. You'd spend half the day looking out first, and you eventually find it. And because it took you such an effort to find it, the information is retained. But now these days, it's onto Google, blah, blah, you have the information, and 5 minutes you've forgotten it already. Because there's no work to retaining it. There's no work of getting it. And it's like that, as you're saying, like, you know, I think if you have to work hard at something, you know, there's a bigger chance
there's something in that.
And is that the concept of the name of it then? The building aspect of it? Building a man? Yeah,
rebuild, yeah, pretty much, yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's like every like, I'm still rebuilding. That's actually one of the massive learning curves. Who I am today, this time next year, I'm going to be a different person.
Putting on extensions.
Yeah, because I'm going to have lived something different, went through different experiences. That might shape the way I think and how I look at my future and all that type of stuff. And we never know. So that's one thing, is never be just say, oh, I'm going to be the same person I am. It's impossible. We all live different lives. Unless you literally don't move from a chair from 1 year to the next, and you watch the same program every day, every night, you will be a different person from 1 year to the next. Yeah. You know, whether that's good or bad, you know, I'm not saying what it is, but you can't stay the same person. It's impossible. Yeah. You know,
you can build, you can rebuild, and you can work on it, and you can work on yourself, but it's okay to take a break.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But going back to the rebuild, like, look, for me, it's just always been down to the hard work, and just taking it step by step by step by step. And when, you know, forgive me, when the bumps come along and things happen, is to understand that that's not failure. That's just a reset, but also look back at where you came from so you can go again. You realize you actually have made your gains. Because I think I was a big person that if I hit a roadblock, especially in my early days, especially in the sporting days, I used to get excellent fitness, but then I get tired of it and I hit a roadblock and I let it fall away rather than looking, oh, geez, I'm so much further ahead. But now these days is, if something happens, like I suffer from fatigue and I have to take a few days off, I don't kill myself over it, because I know I've made so much more gains. And when I am right to go again, I'm going to be starting at a better starting point
than if you let yourself down.
Yeah. And that's just all down to the step by step by step by step by step you'll get there. You know, if I would say, like, my next challenge is all about highlighting that process of, you know, one day at a time, one day at a time, one day at a time, and it'll get you places. So will
that book be available digitally as well?
It's going to be on Amazon. It's all, so everything is, the pre-launch was done in July, and everything is on my website and on my Instagram. I am Fergus Farrell, and that's all for pre-order. And the launch is coming out then on the 2nd of October in Galway. And after that, then all the different links where you can buy them, and it's going to be on Amazon and all that type of stuff.
Class.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it. It's how to say, I never thought I'd ever do a book, and it's a strange way that it came about, but look, it did.
If it helps people,
Yeah,
all
well,
for it.
well, that was the main thing, I remember the guy, I was asked so many times, geez, you should do a book, and after the row, a guy by the name of Christy O'Hara, not many miles away, rings me up, want to talk to you. Okay. And I never met the guy in all my life, but he only lives not a million miles away from me, and I met him, I met him in a coffee shop in Athenry about 2 months after coming off the row, and I was sitting in a bad old place, and I think I was actually just looking for somebody to talk to that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And he sits down with me and tells me, "Oh yeah," and he goes, "You need to do a book." Like this, I was going, "You're joking?" I said, "I have somebody for you." I'm going, "All right." So he actually introduced me to the guy who did a book for a Football Manager. Won't go into details. I met him, but nothing materialised. And then a few other people said it to me. And then I was over in the Paralympics with Toyota, and there's a few others there. David Gillick was there, and I was telling him, and he wouldn't have known me. And obviously, I know him, Olympian, and I was like, one really sound dude, and he was telling me the story. And he said, "Geez, you should do a book like this." And I was like, yeah,
I've heard this, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard this. And I was like, no. I said, next thing he goes, I've done books. I said, no. So I've done cookery books. I was like, all right. I said, yeah, I'll give you contact details. And next thing off you go now. And
it's all about timing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it was
yeah. So it was, but huge time for Dave, lovely man. But again, that's the thing throughout this whole journey. One thing I've discovered, well, I always believed it, there's more good people in this world than there's bad, but we focus on the bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I'm walking the Wild Atlantic Way at the moment, and I did my first leg there about 4 weeks ago, and like the people I met in that journey, I'm just walking it's just
brilliant.
I just wanted to help and
interested in you.
Yeah, and just what are you doing? Oh, yeah, right. Have a place to stay? Do you need a lift? Getting my bag from A to B and all these type of different things, and everybody just wanted to help, but they get no attention.
Get no airtime. Get no airtime.
No, yeah. It's the guy who robs the bike.
Yeah. I think there's something nice in that though as well. You know what I mean? That it is sort of kept sort of personal within people.
Yeah.
That you don't have to go and boast about goodness true, either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's I'm a big fan of. I'm 100%. I think that the world is filled with absolutely brilliant people, and if you're open to it,
if you go looking,
help you.
You'll find them.
Yeah. And a lot of times you don't even have to go looking.
They'll keep to themselves until they're needed, probably. Yeah.
That's a good one to finish on, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thanks.
October, book is coming out.
Yeah.
Lighthouse Charity, give them another shout out as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, Natalie couldn't be here. We'll get her on at a later date. But for anybody who is struggling or who's listening to this right now, and has heard something that Fergus has talked about, or might be feeling like that they need to reach out, they can reach out to, like you said, their GP. Or the Lighthouse Charity as well have a website, which is www.thelighthouseCharity.org, and they have the Lighthouse Charity Club as well, .org, and they have a hard hat which they can text as well in the Republic of Ireland, which is 50808, and you have the UK, which is 85258. So there is, like Fergus said, a lot of opportunities there for people to find solace and a bit of conversation within the industry if they go looking for it.
Yeah, definitely. And the beauty of it is, you don't even have to let down your mask, because they'll work behind the scenes while you still have that mask on.
Brilliant.
Nobody needs to know about it.
Yeah.
And that's the confidentiality about it, and they never have to put your hand in their pocket as well. What more can you ask for?
Yeah.
You're here.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Cheers, okay, thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Really appreciate it.
Right, that's it. Season 7, episode 9 in the can, and another really, really good episode, really important episode, I think.
Yeah, look, really enjoyed the chat with Fergus. Thought he came across very well. We knew the majority of that story, but there was good hard hitting facts and parts to it that we didn't know. So it was, just want to thank him for jumping on with us and sharing it, which is brilliant.
Yeah, and big thank you to Natalie in the Lighthouse Charity for arranging for Fergus to come in and have a talk with us, and look forward to linking in and doing a lot more with the Lighthouse Charity as this podcast and our link with the organisation continues. Yeah. But before we head off, like we always do, I want to give a massive shout out to our sponsor, Robust Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company.
And thank you to Snickers Workwear Ireland and Velocity Pro Gear for their continued support also.
Yeah, and if you liked what you heard, make sure you head over to wherever you get your podcasts, give us a follow, and you'll be notified when the next one drops. Take it easy.
Talk to you next week.